Last night, Donald Trump fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a highly qualified, decorated 4-star Air Force general who was the highest-ranking military officer in our nation. He also fired 6 of the top military leaders in our nation, including the head of the U.S. Navy. And he also fired the top lawyers in our military. This is alarming. Why? I'm Amy McGrath. I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps as an officer. I taught the Constitution and government to midshipmen at the U.S. Naval Academy. I taught the future leaders of our military about civil-military relations. It is a delicate balance in our country. And last night, in my belief, what Trump did will do real harm to our country's military and its national security. Firing these generals is nothing less than a personal loyalty test to everyone else. He isn't firing them because they're unqualified or because they disagree on tactics or strategy in a conflict. This isn't like Truman firing MacArthur because MacArthur wanted to nuke North Korea or China. This isn't like Obama firing McChrystal because of perceived disrespect or loss of trust in the Afghanistan strategy. Trump is doing this because he thinks these generals and admirals are more loyal to the Constitution than to him. You can argue that he did this because General Brown, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, or former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is a black man, and Admiral Franchetti is a woman. The right may say these generals and admirals are too, quote, woke, and maybe they spent too much time on DEI. That's bullshit, folks. This firing is way less about diversity and more about finding someone more loyal to Trump than to the Constitution. Folks, we do not want yes men, and yes, they will all be men, at the head of our military. When Trump wants to do something dumb, like bomb Mexico or invade Greenland or Panama or pull our troops out of Europe and hand it over to Putin, we do not want our military leaders to just want to please the dear leader. We do not want our military leaders to care more about Trump and loyalty to him than to their oath to the Constitution itself. What am I worried about? Now, Trump can more easily use the United States military in ways that would actually hurt Americans. And if you think this is just some shakeup, consider how our national security is being led by the felon himself, a Secretary of Defense who abuses women, pays off his rape victims, and whose own mother called him an abuser, and now potentially more mega loyalists, this time in uniform. That should be very scary, folks. We do not want every incoming administration to clear house at the Pentagon. Our armed forces should not be led by politically motivated individuals. Trump's actions threaten to forever damage our national defense. This is not a shakeup. This is a purge. Trump also fired the top lawyers in our military. Well, why does that matter, you say? Well, here's what's going on. When you start firing the military's top lawyers, that means you are getting ready to order the military to do unlawful things. Trump replaces those JAGs, those lawyers, with men who will justify any future unlawful and unethical actions that he wants the military to do. Think about orders to shoot peaceful protesters in the legs. Think it can't happen? Think again. Trump tried to do this in his first term. He was stopped by a Secretary of Defense and a chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time who told him no. Trump will now try to find commanders who will do his unethical bidding, and he will find the military lawyers who will somehow try to justify those unethical orders by making them, quote, somehow legal. Leaders are getting a litmus test now. Are you sufficiently loyal to Trump or not? This weakens us 100%. They are not selecting generals and admirals based on qualifications or experience. They are going to pick them based on loyalty to Trump and to their political leanings. I cannot stress to you how bad this might get.